welcome back to Football League Chat with me, Ben. And I'm not alone this week. Last week you were all saying, get people on, get people on. Well, I've managed to find 3 people out of the gutter of Twitter. I've got Ellis, Jack and Callum with me. You'll recognise a few of them. Callum not so much because he's just a Twitter personality, really, aren't you, Callum?
Yeah, student blogger.
Well, we'll start with you. What do you do and where do you come from? It's turned into blind date very quickly.
I'm from Milton Keynes, but I go university in Preston. I'm a sports journalism student, and I blog about football.
Good. Right, Ellis, we'll move on to you. YouTuber extraordinaire, away day connoisseur. Yep. Tell me more.
Well, I do ground hopping on my YouTube channel called Away Days, as you've said, and I'm a Leeds fan. That's pretty much my personality.
Well, you've not painted the greatest of pictures. Now
I go to different football grounds, pretty much.
We'll move on to a friend of the stars, Jack Reeve. You know, we just before we started recording, we touched on his relationship with Simon Thomas. It's a close one. But what else do you do, Jack? Aside from meet Simon Thomas for lunches, what else do you do?
I've basically created a YouTube channel all about Norwich City called Talk Norwich City. You can find me on all social media platforms. There's my little plug to start. But yeah, I create football-based content on my team, Norwich City, and put it out for people to criticise, basically.
Yeah. Is it mainly Ipswich fans, or is it just fans in general?
Oh, the Ipswich fans love me.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is the topic for today's episode, folks, by the way, I should have probably come to that first, but it's free transfers. Obviously, the recent move from Paolo and Gerrard and James Milner have seen, it's an interesting topic to talk about based on the fact that there's been some relatively successful free transfers in our time, and there's been some not so successful. We're going to focus on the more successful, and we're going to go around the table. We've each picked one who we think's got the strongest case for being the best free transfer of the last 20 years. I'm going to hold Jack's off for now. We'll come to Callum Reid. Callum, you've picked arguably one of the front runners for this award.
Yeah, I've gone with Esteban Cambiasso when he moved from Real Madrid to Inter Milan in 2004. He was a perfect example of what went wrong with the Galacticos, really. He was great in Argentina, and then he showed plenty of potential at Madrid, but because he wasn't the likes of Zidane, Figo and Beckham, he wasn't that big name. They got rid of him to Inter Milan, and the rest is history from there, really.
Tell me about his history. I want to know about it.
Over 400 appearances for Inter Milan with over 50 goals. He was a key cog in that treble-winning side with Jose Mourinho. He won 5 Serie A's, a Champions League, and 4 Coppa Italias. Yeah, he was key to that as well.
It's quite. I was doing a little bit of research on Cambiasso because obviously I knew you were looking at him.
Yeah,
and he scored more goals for Leicester this season than he ever did at Real Madrid, which I find.
Well, he's even in his old age at Leicester, he's still showing his ability that he had throughout his whole career.
Yeah, they've given me your extension, right, as well. Like he's going to stay on, Cambiasso.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if that proves the quality of the man, he's going to continue playing for Leicester. I mean.
I think he's one of the best midfielders of our generation.
Would you say he was an underrated midfielder?
I think he was very underrated. He had a lot of versatility, and tactically he was very aware. He was always in the right place.
Yeah.
He had a great mixture to his game. He had stamina. He had a great technique and his passing range and vision. But he also had the defensive side to his game. He was a great tackler. He could break up play and then start the attacks.
Yeah, I agree. I think out of the free transfers that we've lined up, I think he certainly tops the bill. I mean, we'll do a poll with a list of around 10, which will be in the description of the video, as well as links to all the gentlemen here as well. And I think he'll be a front runner for this award. Anyway, we'll move on to the man Ellis.
Yep.
Who have you gone for then? There's quite a selection.
I have gone for Sol Campbell.
Everyone's favourite Sol. Sure.
Yep.
Tell me more about him.
Well, when he was at Tottenham, obviously there was a lot of controversy about where he was going to be going to, and in the end he went to Arsenal on a free. And it's sort of the most controversial one out of everyone here, obviously, because he went to the biggest rivals of his old club. But you can't argue how well he did for Arsenal in his 135 appearances. He's won a Premier League. He was a mainstay in the Invincibles. One of the reasons they actually went Invincible, obviously, he was such a good centre back in his prime. Won an FA Cup with Arsenal as well. And overall, he's just a legend of the game, and an England legend as well. And he did fantastic for Arsenal when he moved on to him.
Yeah.
So. And obviously his slide tackle, no one's ever going to forget that, are they?
Well, if there weren't for those damn copyright laws, I would show a clip of it, a never-ending slide tackle, but it's a shame you can't. So, in that back four for Arsenal, he was a mainstay. You mentioned the Invincibles.
Yeah.
I mean, and the nature of the transfer, I think that's the most interesting aspect of his transfer, actually. I think despite the success he had, I think the nature of moving from from Tottenham to Arsenal. I think Tottenham paid for his taxi, did they? Is that a true story? Is that Emmanuel Petit? One or the other? No, it can't have been Petit. Or was it Petit? Maybe I think Petit had like a chat with Tottenham and then got Tottenham to pay his taxi to Arsenal. A little bit of fact, there's facts and...
Lovely.
Yeah, thank you.
Love
Jack.
them facts. Yeah.
Cheers, Jack. I can't wait for some of yours on your player. I'm looking forward to it. So I guess the question we've got to ask ourselves now, Callum, I'm going to come back to you briefly. Do you think Sol Campbell's history as a footballer and his free transfer move to Arsenal beats Cambiaso's?
I think it comes close, very, very close. They both won medals and trophies at respective clubs.
Yeah.
But I think Cambiaso just had that little bit more influence on the Inter Milan side. I think he was the heartbeat of that team. Whereas Sol Campbell, you had Tony Adams, you had Keown.
Yeah. That's a fair point. I
think Cambiaso was very much the key cog in a good Inter Milan side.
Yeah. No, I would go. I think Campbell's a good answer, Ellis. I'm glad you've brought it to the table. But I do think Cambiaso obviously, my favourite Cambiaso moment, sorry to get back, I know you said Campbell, but I'm fantasising about Cambiaso, was his goal he scored for Argentina, that magical goal. I mean, you might be a little bit young, to be honest, Ellis, but do you remember, have you seen the goal? It was like 25 passes.
It was the World Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah, Cambiaso finished it off. It was like, greatest goal of all time.
To be fair, you could also question about the importance of Cambiaso when Zanetti in the side of the Inter Milan as well.
Oh, he's going back at you, Callum.
Yeah.
Defend it. This is what we want. This is what we want. A little bit of beef. Well, okay. Do you think? Okay. Well, Ellis, go on. Have a little bit back. Do you think Cambiaso was carried by Zanetti? Is that what you're saying? Go on. Be brave.
No. I'm not saying that. But they were both great players, and maybe without Zanetti, Cambiaso wouldn't have received the plaudits that he has. Is because Zanetti was just as vital to that side as Cambiaso.
I think the pair of them both really underrated players as well. Both
complemented each other.
Yeah, you're right. And but in the same way that a lot of these kind of great players that we talk about that move on free transfers are complemented by someone else.
I think the thing that does stand out about Sol Campbell, like Ellis said, is the fact he moved from Tottenham to Arsenal after saying. He said in a press conference as well. He said, "I won't be making that move."
Yeah, he's not the first footballer to say one thing and then do the counter opposite, is he? Right, Mr. Reeve, we can't put this off any longer. I mean, we already know where your loyalties lie.
Yeah.
But I gave you a free choice. You could have had anyone in the world. I mean, Paul Pogba could have been an option. He could have had Gerrard's recent move. He could have had James Milner's move to Liverpool. There's so many options there for you.
Yeah.
And for the first time tonight, Jack, reveal to us who you're going with.
So the player I'm going to be going with is Yusuf Malumbu.
Of course it is.
Now, I'm staying strong to my roots here. I wanted to go with a Norwich player, and going back over recent times, there isn't many to pick. So I'm going to try and win you over with a few stats, a few of his big trophies that he's gone on to win.
All right.
So he obviously started off of one of the world's great teams. He came through the PSG Youth Academy. Now, for any young man, that's a pretty incredible feat. Of course, he didn't really go on to be one of PSG's great players. He only played 46 minutes there. Now...
Yeah, do you know, he was hampered. It was unfair.
Now,
looking
that's
back,
probably not a great stat to start with. But let's go on to the trophies he won at PSG. So he is the proud winner of a runners-up medal in the Emirates Cup. He also
can we? I mean, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to test you here, and I doubt you've got the fact. But who did he lose to? I mean, that's the real question. We'll assume Arsenal.
I've got Google at hand, but I'm not going to use it.
All right, you carry on.
So that was in 2007. In the same season, he also got a runners-up medal in the French Super Cup. Now, for any young player, that's an incredible feat. Obviously, them two medals didn't really get him his dream move. He moved over to West Brom in his first season. There, he played 249 minutes, mainly because of a calf muscle strain that he picked up, which meant he couldn't get into the first team. Next season, though, was the one where Malumbu sort of hit it running. He played 3,100 minutes. He got 3 goals, 3 yellow cards, and 3 assists. So good statistics there. A West Brom legend. He's gone on to play hundreds of appearances for him. The perfect weight. He currently weighs 65 kilograms.
Sorry.
Wait.
I didn't want to. We're going. I know. Okay. Just before we carry on, I just want to compare the honours of Malumbu and Cambiaso. Callum,
Sol Campbell doesn't even deserve a mention.
Just quickly, we're going to talk Champions Leagues here, so we'll start with Callum. How many Champions Leagues for for Cambiasso?
Just the one.
Just the one. Mulumbu?
I mean, he's got an Emirates Cup runners-up medal. Does that
I
count?
mean, the way you speak of it, I'm convinced it's as important as an FA Cup win at this point. You've turned me round. Oh no, carry on again. Mulumbu.
Yeah. So obviously, West Brom legend. He's still only 28, so he's fairly young, and a fantastic time at West Brom. So yeah, obviously a massive player for Congo as well. Done them very proud in the African Cup of Nations, and now he's made his dream move to Norfolk, to Norwich City. Now we picked him up on a free. 28 years old, I think, is a fantastic age, especially for a player like Mulumbu. And I think what Alex Neil has done very, very well here is linked him up with Graham Dorrans, who have also signed.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go over to transfer market, his market value is 2.8 million. So to pick him up on a free is like an absolute bargain.
Yeah.
So obviously him and Graham Dorrans, I think, is going to be the pair that maybe takes us into the top 10 of the Premier League next season. I think shirt sales are going to go through the roof. Mulumbu on the back of shirts. I mean, yeah, of course, Cambiasso and Campbell, fantastic players in their own rights. I just think Mulumbu means so much to Norwich City fans.
Yeah.
It's just that signing that I think is going to kick off a whole host of signings for Norwich City over this coming summer, and Yusuf Mulumbu has a big part in my heart.
That I'm gonna. I mean, for the effort, I can't not give you. Well, no, I'm gonna attack it now. So, in terms, we've already gone through. We've gone through Campbell. We've gone through Cambiasso. I just want to know where you think he stands. If we were to create a top three at this point, Jack, where would you place Mulumbu? Being obviously as neutral as you can possibly be.
Yeah.
Where are you putting Mulumbu in this?
I mean, let's talk current day. Out of the three, I'd rather have Mulumbu at Norwich than Campbell and Cambiasso. Going back.
Well, hang on. I mean,
in front of Cambiasso.
Sol Campbell. I think he's going into politics.
Yeah,
he is.
So, I mean, I would take Yusuf Mulumbu over a politician. I really meant, and you've gone straight for current day, which is very clever of you, I'll admit, because he's got 8 years on one of them and about 10 on the other. But I do think you've got to compare it to the Cambiasso at its peak, Mulumbu at his peak, which was arguably a couple of years ago in the Premier League. As you say, he was very good for West Brom, very highly rated. Him and Jakob in the middle there, and I'm really
lost for words.
I am lost for words because you're so. I feel like you. I don't know if you're joking. That's my problem here, Jack. I feel like you are wholeheartedly saying he's as good as anyone that's gone before him.
When you first sort of posed the question to me, I was desperately racking my brains of free transfers, and it sort of came down to my horrible lack of knowledge in the transfer market, and also players that are fresh in my mind. And I thought Mulumbu's the perfect candidate. And then when I saw who I was up against, Cambiasso, Campbell, I thought I'm going to have to do very well here in the argument. So that's when I started to compile the stats, and I knew that I had a massive argument on my hands.
Yeah.
But, you know, who knows? Mulumbu might set the Premier League on fire next season. I mean, yes, Cambiasso is a fantastic player, and I think he probably goes at number one, closely followed by Sol Campbell, and Mulumbu's third. But at the end of the day, it's a bronze medal.
Well, he might be about to pick up the wooden spoon.
Yeah.
We'll come to my pick. Thank you, Jack. That was incredibly well fought. I think that's the only way I can describe it. Well fought. It was a battle, and
the effort was there.
You've done well. I'm going to go for the man that sort of sparked the debate in the first place. I'm going to go for Andrea Pirlo. You know, the man is. We talk about Cambiasso and what he's achieved. Now, not only has Cambiasso had a fantastic career at Inter, there was a certain club in Italy that were equally dominant at the time, and I'll draw your attention to AC Milan. Now, Pirlo wasn't just your average run-of-the-mill central midfielder. I think in recent years he's got a bit more credit due to things like FIFA and just being more sort of public eye. But the man's won 2 Champions Leagues. He's won Serie A twice. This is just with Milan, by the way. And then he's won a World Cup 2006. You know, he's done it all. There's not much more Pirlo could have done in his career before he then, at the ripe old age of 32, makes the marvellous transition over to the future and current holding Italian champions. Now, since he's been at Juventus, and now he's obviously moving on to New York City, but 4 league titles. I mean, we could talk all day about what he's achieved. Sadly, I don't know about you boys, but I was rooting for Juventus against Barcelona. I love Barcelona. I think the way they play football is fantastic. But in that Champions League final, I just feel like it would have wrapped up Pirlo's European legacy at least. I don't know. Did anyone feel the same? Did anyone feel like Pirlo he needed that to just kind of sum. I think already he's considered a legend of the Italian game, arguably one of the, if not the best Italian player of a generation.
Yeah.
But did you? I don't know. I'll come to you, Jack. I'll come to you. Do you think? Were you disappointed? Did you want Pirlo to do that? Because you could see on his face at the end that he really, really wanted it.
I mean, Pirlo's sort of got such a personality about him, hasn't he?
Yeah.
There's that quote. Didn't he say something before the World Cup final? He was playing his PS3 or something.
Yeah,
something
not
like
bothered.
that.
Not bothered.
Like such a cool and composed and guy. But I'm more of a Messi fan. I want to see Messi win every cup he's in. So in terms of the Champions League final, I wasn't too fussed. Obviously, it was devastating to see one of the game's greats in tears at the end. But I mean, I love Pirlo, but I wasn't devastated not to see Juventus win the Champions League final, I must admit.
All right, well, fair enough. Ellis, did you care?
Oh no, I was rooting for Barca personally.
All right, we'll just move on to Callum. Callum, please tell me you felt a bit of sympathy for Pirlo. Okay.
Yeah, I felt sympathy for him. But Juventus as a whole, the way they've got the Buffon, Tevez was obviously leaving, Pirlo's leaving. There's talk of Pogba, and they were the underdog, and I love an underdog, so I was rooting for them. I think Pirlo is fantastic. I do have a grudge against him the way he chipped Joe Hart in the Euros, but
even as an England fan, part of me really enjoyed that.
Yeah, well, didn't he say? Well, he said Joe Hart looked too confident, so I thought I'd bring him down a peg or two.
But to think that and then execute it, like I remember as he did it, like the next day everyone was going, "Oh, he did it before," and he messed it up, and the keeper read it, and then to have the confidence to do it in a World Cup
that sums him up really.
It does, yeah. You're right. It does sum him up. He didn't look bothered before he took it. Even when you put it in, I remember watching him jog back to the centre circle, thinking, "You horrible, beautiful man." I just sickened by him. But in terms of a free transfer, I mean, you're not gonna come much richer than Pirlo. There's some current guys around like obviously Pogba to Juve is an equally impressive transfer because of how much he'll go for. I guess we've got our four. We've got our Malumbus. Oh, go on.
Can I fire back at you for this Pirlo thing?
Oh,
because
sure. Allow me to just move his World Cup out of the way. Carry on.
He's played. Obviously, he was incredible, but after the free transfer, the quality, like, because obviously we've got to argue about his transfer. Obviously, he was incredible for Juventus, but the quality of Serie A had dramatically dropped. Like by the time he'd moved on to Juventus.
Well,
here we go.
I think
it's all heating up now.
I believe I just can't wait for Malumbu to storm back in there with his Emirates Cup runners up. He'll be sickened by it. No, I think you're right in terms of the earlier years. I think in more recent years, especially the last couple of years, as Pirlo's got older, I think the league's got better as well. I think when he was at Milan, the league was very strong. I think you had Roma, you had both Milans fighting as well. You had Juve before they obviously had a little bit of a mess. And I think there was that kind of period when Juve dropped down, a lot of the big names left, and like even players like Ibra and Thiago Silva, when they left, the league became a lot weaker. And I think in recent years, Juve have made the league look weaker because of just how good they are. And that's kind of why I wanted them to win the Champions League. So that team that everyone was sort of utilising about would just, it'd be cemented, and you'd remember it. And all you're going to remember now is the team that Barcelona beat because of the Messi, Suarez, Neymar trio, and that disappoints me. So, well, I think you're right in the early years of his career. I think he's like a fine wine, and he's the sort of man that would have a vineyard. I think out of all the footballers I can think of in this four here, we've got a politician, we've got a man that plays for Leicester, and then Cup runner-up and an owner of a vineyard. I'm pretty sure Pirlo has got some sort of share in a vineyard as well.
When Pirlo adapted his game as well when he was at Juventus, you could tell he was getting on a bit, but he adapted and became much more of a playmaker, spraying passes, and obviously set pieces are incredible. Yeah,
he's a player that wasn't affected by age, but due to the fact that he could, his adaptability was clear to see the way he moved back so naturally. So I guess those are our four. We'll create a short list. I guess, boys, pick some out of now. So we've got like the four that we're focusing on. So some that are moving recently. I guess James Milner's a big one this summer. I've mentioned Pogba a couple of times. I guess Chelsea. Did they get Drogba back on a free? They didn't pay for him, did they? I mean,
we got him back on a free.
He didn't have a massive influence. Bradley Johnson, Jack.
Bradley Johnson, yeah. I mean, I didn't even know he was a free. I thought he paid like 4 million for him. So that's
just because of the quality. The quality of the man, you couldn't possibly think that was a free transfer. I can understand. Is there any more? Someone far away? Anyone?
Was Kaká to Orlando a free deal?
Maybe Twilight though, isn't it? I guess much like the Pirlo transfer now. Actually, Kaka moved young, really.
Can I throw Brad Friedel into the ring?
You can throw it. That's a very good
Friedel.
shout. Had a very good career. Did he move to? He moved to Blackburn, didn't he? On a free.
Yeah, Blackburn.
And then, but so he left Liverpool, went to Blackburn. I think we looked at it yesterday actually, and he had a terrific career. Go on. Who was that?
Oh, that was me. My mic disconnected, but I'm back now.
Oh, okay.
So, JJ Okocha to Bolton. I don't know. That's been said. And Kevin Davis to Bolton.
That's a shout.
That's
Well, I mean, you've gone with contrasting players there. Okocha and Davis. I mean,
Yeah.
dream team. That's funny because they did play in the same team, didn't they?
Okocha,
Yep.
oh, what a player.
Okocha was a player. Oh,
Fantastic to get in them shootout cards as well. I can always remember opening up and seeing Okocha there. Oh,
I would always want Nigeria to do well in international tournaments just because Okocha. I had no other reason to support Nigeria other than I liked JJ Okocha. Seemed like a nice man as well. I've never met him, but it seemed like a nice man. I'm trying to think of more. There's been so many that kind of go under the radar, and you forget that free transfers. Obviously, you're a Norwich fan. You weren't even completely aware that Johnson was.
I know.
I guess Joe Cole to Liverpool was a. At the time,
That's up there with the better ones.
At the time, I was so pleased.
Joe Cole, come on, mate. Malumbu's better than that. I mean, I know you've been mocking me, but Joe Cole he hardly sat Anfield alive, did he?
No, he was a damp squid on the Anfield turf.
Lewandowski moved to
that's on the list.
Bayern Munich.
Lewandowski's move from Dortmund to Bayern has got to be up there, right? I mean, he's gone to Bayern, and they've just domestically, at least, they've just won everything. It's not fair almost. Did Goetze go for money?
Yeah, there was money involved.
Yeah, but it was kind of end of a contract thing, but there was money, right? Was that right?
Yeah, it might have been possibly because of his age.
Yeah, I think you might be right. So, well, the similar thing with Ings at the moment. Obviously, he moves on a free, but there'll be a massive compensation clause. So I think that's going to wrap up our chat. Obviously, in the comment section of the video, please leave your suggestions. Who do you think is the best free transfer? Feel free to comment on the ones that we discussed and leave your own there too. So from me, Dr. Benji, thank you very much for watching. Ellis, Jack and Callum, their links will all be in the description below. Thank you for joining me, gentlemen.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
Thank you
you
very much. It's been an absolute treat.
Good. You've got to sing the praises of Malumbu before he's kicked a ball for Norwich and sum him up as your best free transfer of the last 20 years.
I think he's going to be making his debut at Galston this weekend. So if anyone's about and want to see him grace the turf of Galston, then pop down there.
I will be there.
It's my neck of the woods. Maybe I will. Anyway, I will love you and leave you boys, and I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me. And that brings us to the end of the first proper debate on Football Chat with Ben. So then, yes, there will be a straw poll in the description of the video. Please vote on the best free transfer you think, or if you've got another suggestion, maybe it's not on the list, please comment below with your ideas, and then we'll talk about a few of them next week. I'm not talking about the topics from last week's show, because I did that a lot in the comment section, and I've no doubt I'll do that again this week. So yeah, get your comments in there. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. So with love, with care from me, Dr. Benji. Goodbye.